Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. Here in the UK, the lockdown has been slightly eased off, but we are still pretty much confined to our homes with our families. What I've been doing during the course of the lockdown is discussing some fun family games. The games that I've previously looked at have really been aimed at families with slightly older children. So today, I'm going to look at something that is specifically for the preschool age range. We are looking at Candyland, not the sort of thing I would normally cover on my channel. In fact, Candyland is pretty much a punchline for a lot of gamers. If you're playing something and it's a little bit simple, or it doesn't have the kind of depth that you want it to have, you can refer to it as Candyland in a derogatory manner. But board gaming as a hobby is a journey, and every journey starts somewhere. And for many people, I guess more so in America than in the UK, that journey starts with a little trip along a rainbow road in Candyland. It's a game that many people play as one of their first introductions to board gaming. But is it actually good? Of course it's really simple. It's for preschoolers. It doesn't have any great strategy to it, and there's not a lot there for adults to get their teeth into. But I think it's a great game. I think it does exactly what it sets out to do, and there's a reason why it's the best-selling game in that age range. And I think it's possible to make it even better than it is. Let's take a quick look at what I'm talking about. Welcome to Candyland, the cutest place in the world. If you have never played Candyland before, the concept is pretty straightforward. Up to 4 players will take the role of gingerbread people. Hello! And you have all been invited to King Candy's castle. Now, King Candy spells his name with a K, so I think he might be an aspiring hip-hop artist. Furthermore, he has decided to invite 4 gingerbread people to his castle for a party, so he may not have entirely honourable intentions. Nevertheless, on the Rainbow Road you go to skip merrily to King Candy's pad. And what you basically have here is like snakes and ladders without the snakes or the ladders or even the numbers. It is the most simple game in the world. On your turn, you will draw a card from a deck and you will do whatever that card tells you to do. If it's got a coloured square on it, you will move your piece to that coloured square. Like so. If it has 2 coloured squares on it, you move 2 squares of that colour along the path. So in this case, 2 blue squares. I will go not to the first blue square, but to the second blue square. Finally, you may get a picture card. In this case, I have drawn my absolute favourite character. This is Jolly the Gumdrop Dragon. When you pick up a picture card, you move your piece to the space on the board that matches that picture, and that may be forwards or it may be backwards. In this case, we're going up to the Gumdrop Pass. Like so. And that's pretty much the game, with 2 minor exceptions. There are some shortcuts on the path. If you ever land on the space here, you can immediately hop across to the other side. And there are 3 licorice spaces on the board. If you land on a licorice space, you miss your next turn. That's it. That's the game. No more was written. But it is a game that is doing exactly what it needs to do. It's really quick to set up. You unfold the board, shuffle a deck of cards, and you start playing. And it's really quick to play. It's much quicker than something like Snakes and Ladders, where you have to roll the dice, count spaces, move an exact number of spaces, go backwards and forwards all the time. You pretty much are almost always going in the right direction, except when you draw a picture card that's going to send you back. And it just ends really quickly without overstaying its welcome and without testing the patience of toddlers. Toddlers are not going to do anything for any length of time. They're going to get distracted. So it's a really good, quick game in that regard. And of course, there is no real skill involved. You're drawing a card and playing a card, and that sounds like a bad thing, but it's not. It's actually a good thing, because it means everybody is playing on a level playing field, and it means that your 3-year-old can beat you at this game without you needing to play a suboptimal game. And probably the main reason why I'm talking about this as part of my lockdown series is that it is educational. All of the games that I've discussed in my lockdown series have had an educational element, and here we have colour recognition. We are teaching children colours, and you can also encourage them to count out the spaces as they move their piece. If they're going forwards 3 spaces, get them to count as they go. The game is also so simple that the designers have included 2 simple variants. The first variant is intended for younger children, and in that variant, if you pick a picture card, you only ever move forwards. If it's a picture card that would send you backwards, you just don't play that card. And that's kind of taking out that the one and only negative aspect of the game, the fact that you can get bumped backwards. Is going to make the game a little bit quicker again. So again, we're not testing the patience of very young children, and no one's going to get any bad feeling. The second variant that they suggest is for slightly older children, and in that variant they encourage you to draw 2 cards and pick which one you play. And that introduces something else, another educational element, because it's going to teach children how to make decisions. They're going to pick from 2 options, and it's going to encourage them to count along the board and make the best decision for them at that time. And because it's so simple, you can actually keep adding variants to it, and you can tailor the game to your children, and as your children grow, you can add layers of complexity. For example, in addition to drawing 2 cards and picking 1, you could make it so that if you draw 2 cards and the colours match, then you get to combine both of those cards together. So if you draw 2 cards that each have a yellow square on it, then you could move forward 2 yellow squares. Another way of doing it is you draw 2 cards, you play 1, and then you have to pass the other card to the player who's going to play next. So it's almost like a small drafting element. And of course, if you're introducing the picture cards that can bump you backwards, you may be able to actually pass off a card that's going to be detrimental to the next player. Again, very simple decision making, but extra decisions and something else for the children to think about. Another idea would be to introduce a push your luck system where you only draw 1 card at a time, but then after you've played that card, you can decide whether you want to pull again. For example, if I pull a card and it's a double red, I will move my 2 red spaces. 1, 2. I can now choose to pull a card again. If I pull a card and it matches the colour that I've already played, red, I can move forward again. So say I pull another red. It's a single red, so I can move forward again. And I can keep doing this until I pull a card that doesn't match red. My next card is yellow. Because it doesn't match the red that I've been playing up to this point, my turn will end. Furthermore, I will get bumped back to the most recent yellow space. So you can introduce these different elements. You can introduce basic drafting. You can introduce push your luck. You can introduce additional decision points into the very simple framework of Candyland. And yes, it's never going to be a really sophisticated game that the whole family are going to love and are going to want to play over and over again for years to come. It has a very small window of opportunity, I think, Candyland. The publishers, MB Games, recommend an age range of 3 to 6, and I think even that is pushing it a little bit. I think it's a much narrower window than that recommendation. But by introducing the new alternative ways of playing, you can keep it fresh for a little bit longer, and most importantly, you're going to build your child's relationship with board games. You're going to encourage them to start thinking about how games work, and also playing games as a family, being at the table together, having that social interaction, and having fun as a family. I like Candyland. People who watch my channel will probably never expect me to say that, but I do. There's a reason it's still around today when it came out in the 1940s. But that's all I've got to say about that. Thank you so much for watching. I know this has been a little bit different to the sort of thing I would normally cover, so if you have checked out the video, I really do appreciate it. If you've liked the video, please consider pressing the like button. If you really like the video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so, and hopefully I will see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.